Lots of love. Lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Vegas. He's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters Tour.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Ambulance immediately gets back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2-3, so back and forth.
The week has continued on, and teams already have been eliminated. And as we're continuing on throughout the weekend before us here, only 4 teams remaining when it comes to the NA Open Division. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Hunter Tane, joined once again by Spectron, who again is in the Demon Hours over there. Beck, got a good match for us. Semifinals matchup between Amplify and Team Vex. Both teams already proving in 3-0 fashion that they can get the job done in the quarterfinals, but unfortunately, only one of these teams is going to be able to move on to the finals, where, as we'll find out here in a moment who their opponent's going to be, apparently Agave Foxtail is who's waiting for them in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, listen, firstly, let's get the obvious out of the way, right? This tournament is kind of Amplified to win. They have the best tournament results by leaps and bounds, right? And even though the OWCS run was somewhat uninspired, they still bloody got there in the first place. So very much they are the firm favorites here. Team Vex, whilst obviously they would love to win, they would love to get to the mid-season finals. Realistically, it's a much more accurate measuring stick just to see how far they can take Amplify, if they can make them sweat, if they can make them drop maps, if they can kind of win out on the ban game, for example. Because a raw beatdown it's simply unrealistic. Right, that being said, they are a strong team, they will be able to deal damage, and if somebody on Amplify has a stinker, if somebody on Vex can shoot back just a little bit harder, there's a real chance that they can, as I mentioned, at least draw some blood. Take a gander at the bans as we go into map number 1. These teams will be familiar enough with each other and their hero pool from ranked and team play both. So I'm assuming there's not going to be too much guesswork going into map number 1, as there often is. In terms of your bans, it is purely stylistic, right? You are bad at playing into a certain hero, you're good at playing as another certain hero. It's so especially on like Control, on map number 1, where you're not having problems with anything just yet, it can end up being very much guesswork. The Malga ban coming through is entirely just based on that, right? They reckon they're worse than the Malga, and so it's just removed. That has snapped. Amplify, it is probably one of their better picks, and they recognize that they'll probably get, from the Malga ban at least, you have an idea of what kind of comp you're playing against, so you ban out the Pharah to hurt that as well. So very reasonable bans from both sides, both very commonly picked heroes, and we'll wait and see what effect that has.
Yeah, honestly, it might be one of the quickest ban phases I have seen before in the
Thank God, yeah.
situation. So, I mean, in both very clear reasons as to why they were picked, very reasonable ones at the very least. So, yeah, liking this a lot thus far, but of course, Gotta take a look at these teams, Spectron and who they are. One of them, many of our audience, many in the Overwatch team, very familiar with, like I said, after the run here with OWCS. Amplify, gonna check them out first and foremost. Team that quite familiar with myself, as of course, checking them out. We got Ewan and Winter on DPS, got Gap on the tank, and then Solozen and Consequence currently over on support. And again, I mean, Spectron, we could talk up and down how they performed, how they done, the fact that they got into that top 8 in the first place when a lot of people were counting them out. People were thinking that other teams were going to get through, but they ended up making a way through, ended up taking some maps off some really good teams. But at this stage of the game, you said it, it's Amplify's game to lose. And it'd be amazing if T-Vex manages to show up here today and take away an awesome win.
Okay, so it is worth mentioning, by the way, that Ewan is currently playing DPS, historically a main support player. Phone of Phona fame has been down or snapped, so we'll wait and see if they rock up anytime soon. Team Vex in their hand, you can see here, Doc, Seaful, Vex, Bugsoup, and Ramsu. I think Ramsu, for me, is the player I have the most experience casting. Very strong in those flex DPS picks. For me, most sticks in my mind as a Genji Pharah kind of player. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what comes out, because both those picks and more very, very valid in today's climate.
Yeah, no, 100%. Definitely gonna see if that's gonna be the case or not. But obviously, everything is kind of up in the air. We're gonna be figuring things out for this first map. But of course, Spectron, with it being the mid-season playoffs, it goes to a loser's pick situation. But the first map is still always determined as to where we are going to go. But at ooh. Spectron, I might be being slightly stupid, as a matter of fact.
Why is that, Entertain?
Because Hunter misunderstood the rules for a minute because he doesn't like to read things very well. So,
to be fair, reading is overrated.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. Either way, regardless of anything that I may or may not have said, Oasis is going to be our first map to get things going here, and then from there it'll be a losers pick basis. So, I mean, Spectron, just thoughts about going into Oasis and what you would ideally like to play.
Oasis is one of the brawlier maps, especially on something like a university, for example. It's really easy just to ooga booga frontline trade. Dive is not that playable on this map, so teams who are better at ground tank strats in general are going to be finding more success. Curious that they have, I believe, Seaful in on the tank, who's listed as a Doom bull main, neither of which I would argue particularly all that on this map when you have Mari, that's Bugsoup, currently playing Lucio, who is very good at some of those ground tanks. Now, you know, I held my hand up if I got any of this wrong. NA, like I say, it's not my region, which gives me carte blanche to say what I wish. But that is what we see right now. Doom, Kiri, Lucio here. If you get picks, then you have a lot of power for it, right? The Kiri is great at enabling your DPS. You got Soj Rail, One Clip, Empower Punch, Kiri Headshots, all these ways of just killing someone. But you are playing into the Orisa, who can just walk down main, and you don't really have any tools against that. So Amplify, I think, have won the compositional matchup. But Team Vex might be able to overcome it with pure firepower.
Yeah, see if that's going to be the case or not. Getting things going here. We're still out on that Doom Fizz competition to get things started away. Gap hanging on the Orisa. To be a really big deterrent onto Seaful anytime they're going to go for that block that Javelin's going to be used to simply disrupt them and take them out of it right now. So have to be very careful as to how you use that. And Consequence has to be a little careful as well. Eventually going to have to TP out as the point on locks Amplify. Hoping to get first volley here, but Consequence already going down first and foremost right now, trying to keep bodies off the point. Unfortunately, Gap unable to do so. And as things are looking right now, it's going to be hard for Amplify to really pull something off here, especially with Elon going down. So Team Vex looking to secure the point first and foremost.
This is the problem with playing double flex compositions. If you try and use your Kiri to fight a flank, then it works, but it doesn't work as well as just having a Lucio. You really wish you had Ewan in on that main role right now, but not to be.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But either way, you know, just gotta see what's gonna go on. Ramsu already has that pulse bomb ready to go, and unfortunately, again, lose them early on. Is the pulse bomb likely going to be very unnecessary to use in the situation right now? Gap gonna get punched out of the spin, and he's gonna get punched out of life as another reset's gonna have to come through here. And I mean, you can already see the slight bit of the struggle when it comes to the swapping roles as we've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. 40% already in favor of Team Vex, and even though they get a singular exit frag, it's not to be. We'll at least buy Amplify this kind of forward space so they can begin working their way towards the point. But it's going to be slow work, especially with this Arrested Comp. You got the speed ring, that's going to be about it. But once these ults are online, I gotta say, I do think it will be Amplify who have the lead. This orbital array, I mean, Team Vex simply can't respond to. They have to full kite it.
Yeah, and it's going to go down right now. I'm going to see whether or not there's going to be any response right now. Vex is waiting for the moment right now, waiting for an opportunity. He's going to drop down, maybe try to punch somebody off the map. It's going to punch two. Only one actually going to go off, though, as Seafull is going to get out momentarily. Going to go back in for the punch, as unfortunately Spear not going to connect, so it's still very much a back-and-forth affair. Consequence still has the ability with the Kitsune Rush. Unfortunately, he's going to hold on to it, and with that being the case, unfortunately, I don't know how easy it's going to be for Amplify to try to come back into this one on, unfortunately, 85% and counting. Now it's a question of, they got to get to that point.
And 12% left to go. It seems somewhat unrealistic, right? Their Genji's just died. They don't have a Lucio or anything, realistically, so they're just going to book it with their Ana to save their ults. There's just no chance in hell. Their Team Vex dismantle Amplify, unless Gap has something truly ridiculous to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, Gap does not instantly spawn with an ultimate, but come on, it's just a little angry. He's going to go for Doc, and eventually we'll get 2 picks, but unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough at the end of the day. So very clean round for Team Vex to get things going right now. Amplify not fully looking like themselves for quite obvious reasons, to be fair. But either way, I mean, for Team Vex, regardless of anything, I mean, this is the start you're hoping for.
Absolutely, right? I mean, you're just 100-0 Amplify. You pat yourselves on the back here. And I do think it was somewhat of a weak start for Amplify. I think their comp is much better in the defense than attacking. And I think they've kind of flubbed their setup and some of their comps as well, realistically. I think now they're changing things up. I imagine they will find some more success. Mirroring the Kiri Lucio is going to be somewhat tricky, considering you have 2-3 players in off roles, so they do largely swap off of it. Yeah, they were just, okay, messing around in spawn. Fair enough. Same idea, different day. Hopefully, the ability to set up on high ground here is going to work out better in their favor now.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the case or not right now. Love to see the Echo in play in the situation. Of course, Children's matching over right now. Winter, though, in a bit of a rough spot. 8 health right now. Eventually going to get the care they need to be able to stay alive as Team Vex ready to go in. Of course, Doomfist looking for a potential punch to knock somebody off. You see the move going on. Will not get rid of Gap. As Seafull still doing a really good job as the point's going to unlock. This Gap eventually is likely going to have to force a drop in time if they won't even try to contest this point with a nice spear. Yeah, I mean, it's excellent on the Bug Soup. Solazen getting the pick onto Vex, so seemingly this is going to eventually be the cap right now, but if you wanted to delay this out, you 100% could, as Consequence nearly falling off of the cliff right there, as it looked like a little bit more stall out, as it'll eventually probably come to an end, Spec. I mean, good stall, but it will eventually end.
90% when all said and done. That's going to be about equalized by the time Team Vex actually have a touch. But I gotta say, Amplify finally get the extended poke phase that their comp really wants to look for, and they win the fight. So no surprises there. If a Team Vex can avoid that as much as possible, make this fight as short as possible, they'll be in a better chance of victory, as indeed we see here.
Yeah, Consequence kind of just got deleted. So now you have to see the drop. Unfortunately, the drop is a little too late. So at this point, now you kind of want the fight to end as quickly as possible right here, especially with Solazen forced out of the fight. So unfortunately, that's another fight done and dusted, and that could have been an extra like 10-15% of stall right there.
Indeed, and isn't to be. Only 19% on your side now is not really what you love to see, but it's still pretty doable. Seafull will be decently hard to shift, especially if they've just been given an Empower Punch.
Yeah, 100%. Kitsune Rush is ready to go right now, but Solazen going to go with that. Kitsune Rush going to be used as a response. And a lot is being invested into this situation right here. It might only be 2 ults, but the 2 ults that are pretty dang good overall right now. As Seafull also going to invest in the situation right now, hoping to find something. A nice little trade out once again. As Gap slowly finding themselves alone. Consequence needs to try to eventually be able to hang around. Seafull gets away, but won't at the last second, unfortunately. And it's Gap. I mean, yeah, they have to. And it's looking like with the backup coming through, that at this point, Team Vex is likely just going for the stall, but they're going to...
Whoa!
Need? Spec, this is a risk.
Ewan's dead. They're finding some success off the back of it. The Kitsu and the OC both being mirrored out. Doc does go low and surely will be going down. And even though it is a heavy spend from Team Vex, then the same could be said of their opposition. And even though it looks like the cleanup will come through, right, it's about one fight territory, 92, maybe 95% now going to be accrued, and both teams totally skint. Gap, the closest at 67% of a Terra Surge, so Zen could maybe finish it in the pre-fight with 40% to farm up. These teams just have nothing to play with. And in this neutral fight, whilst Amplify do have better positioning, I mean, right now, Team Vex have the mechanical edge, right, with Ewan still on the off-roll.
Yeah, 100% right now. Gap is getting way closer, 85% encounter right now. Solo Zen not too far behind, but Solo is the one person who 100% cannot go down right now. That orbital ray is going to be the most important thing coming up in this fight if they decide to invest it right here, which, depending how things go, might not have much of an option but to invest it right now, as Gap does have this ready to go right now, waiting for a potential opportunity. Sees two bodies together, going to be forcing bodies out. They're going to double down in what you might consider a bit of an awkward area, but it is going to result in both kills coming through. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, Spec, while this is going to result in a fight win, you got to question whether or not you needed both in that situation.
I don't really think you did, to be honest. I thought the Terra Surge was bold in of itself, as we kind of see it force like 2 sub-10 second cooldowns, so, you know, be your own source, but whether that's actually the correct choice or not. And then the orbital ray as well, yeah, it gets the job done, but was it needed? I don't think so. Now they need something, and they don't have it, because Solo Zen and Consequence have just fallen over.
Yeah, it was kind of an unfortunate situation where they didn't really have a choice but, oh my god, what a punch. Unfortunately, they didn't have a choice but to move up and just try to take a fight. Because, I mean, they were going to get ran out if they stayed on the point. Anyway, unfortunately, it's not going to leave a chance for them to make it back. So, Team Vex going to take this one away, Amplify, finding something there towards the end, but unfortunately just not going to be enough. A little bit of a overinvestment when it kind of mattered the most. So, like I said, Team Vex going to get a little momentum moving forward, and all things considered, looking pretty spunky so far.
Absolutely. I mean, C4, especially in this Doomfist, has been just like bloody terrifying. Realistically, we can see it in the play of the game, but consistently able to disrupt, consistently able to find punch picks, really just doing everything you'd want out of a player on Doomfist, on a hero who we don't typically see too much in organized play, absolutely making their mark. For Amplify, I think they realized, at least, that the double flex was going to be no-brainer into a heavy dive comp. The Orisa just doesn't do enough to mark it, but unfortunately their lack of ability to play main support in really comfortable ways, because Ewan, as I've said 1,001 times, is on FDPS right now, is being exploited, right? We're seeing the backlines kind of dying basically to a stiff breeze, and unfortunately we're also not seeing the DPS picks that maybe we'd expect. Winter's having a bit of a quiet one, Phone notoriously absent. It's a bit of a recipe for disaster for Amplify realistically, so I hope that they kind of right themselves at some point during this series, because right now they kind of look like they're in freefall.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the case. This is kind of what happens to some teams when you have that situation where you do lose somebody, and sometimes it's not always the case. You know, someone can easily come in and kind of fill the spot and at least kind of fill that gap. But unfortunately, it's kind of a different situation when it's somebody who should intentionally be on another starting role. So it's one of those situations where maybe they'll be able to adjust and maybe move towards something where they don't have to worry about that situation as much, because with that being the case, with them losing the map, they're going to have the opportunity to pick the map and mode. But back before anything, we got to decide a couple of lovely things, including bans, which I believe in this situation, double check, but I believe Amplify will get the opportunity to ban first as well.
I mean, I would imagine you just ban Doom here. I can't lie. You can go towards like a longer sightline map where they would normally play another dive tank and just ban Doom, and kind of that's what I would do. It's as simple as that. The Doom was giving you problems, you get rid of it and hope your DPS can take your ones, I think is your best kind of shot towards victory. We assume we see C4 move out then towards the Bull, which is still disruptive, but it just doesn't have that same punching power, you know, to make a little joke there. It just doesn't hit the same. And so that's what I would imagine we see. And then if your team Vex after that, you could ban... I'd probably ban as many flex supports as you possibly can to try and exploit them onto playing like some main flex kind of thing. Like Kiri ban, I think, would be pretty strong if your backline's comfortable playing something like Ana Lucio. But all up in the air right now. Of course, we have to see what map they go towards as well. And they do have everything in the pool left. Of course, we at CGL Do not use the old system where you have to pick like a certain map type. That's boring as hell. Anything is in, and you can go towards it whenever you wish.
Yep, 100%. And we're providing a little bit of context, Spectron, since we were wondering the same as well. A little fact: Phone has turned 20 years old today. It is Phone's birthday, which would be a pretty good explanation as to why they might not be there. So a quick toast to Phone.
They're at LAN, is what we're being told right now as well.
Oh, that's double the reason right there. That is truly something.
Spending your birthday at LAN sounds pretty good. I can't lie.
That has got to be an experience right there.
It's like you just get to like play. I don't know how LANs are in the US. In the UK, LANs are like 2/3 a social event. To be honest, you like chat with people, go pub, and then like I guess you got some matches to play as well. You know.
I feel like it's a little different, honestly, in the States. I can't speak from much experience, however, but you know, maybe one day we'll know what it feels like.
I think my favorite Epic LAN fact, which is a UK LAN, is that the team who makes it to the team who makes it through losers finals almost always loses because they always go out drinking the night before and then come into finals so hungover that they can't play.
So what you're saying is, if you get to winners finals, you have to intentionally throw.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So this happens the past 4 LANs. Like, hey, you see people like shuffling on stage wearing like sunglasses inside. It's fantastic.
God, that sounds like quite the experience right there.
Shout out Epic LAN one time. A great way of losing a weekend.
I'm sure it is. It's gotta be. But I don't know. No, I don't know if we have anything specifically like Epic LAN here. At least not anywhere.
You got Fragdelphia,
around where I'm from. I guess that's a fair statement.
which is like Epic LAN but worse from people who've worked both events. Keep their identities anonymous, but there is only like 2 people who've done it, so you can kind of hazard your own guesses. If any of you have for some reason interested in Counter-Strike, terrible game by the way.
Yes, only Europeans play that game. Yeah. I think I have like let me check my you know, we're having fun, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and check my Steam and let's see how much time I have on Counter-Strike. How does that sound like? Ooh,
yeah, why not?
A whopping 57 minutes.
Let's see, how much time do I have on Counter-Strike?
It's got to be like over 500 hours. It's got.
Oh, it's definitely over 500 hours. 1.4K. It's not that bad. I'm still terrible at that game though. I can't lie. I got 0 hands.
You can play a game forever and still be really bad at it.
Yeah, look at us at Overwatch.
Honestly, though, hey, we have a win.
That's true. That's true. Oh, our team is great. It's just us all disagreeing on how to play the game.
That is essentially what it is. If anyone's ever interested, watch one of our streams while we're playing a match. It's just me and Spec saying, no, I want to play fast. No, I want to play slow. Yeah. And it's that for 4 maps.
Rabbit pipes in sometimes with a third opinion, you know? Like, it's fantastic.
You'd be like the mediator. It's like, fellas, you're both right. But let's do it this way.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are both right, realistically. That's how it goes 95% of the time. But unfortunately, we haven't all been gulagged into having a hive mind yet. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We're getting things kind of get all settled right here, but we get to go back into competition next week, so that'll be a lot of fun. And for some reason,
be a little care.
Ooh.
So whilst the players are looking for the map pool right now, which is why we're waffling so much. In the meantime, take a gander at the schedule because I mean it's more visually interesting than our ugly mugs. I'll tell you that much for free. Here we go. So the Flock played Moss earlier, went 3-2. Who watched that? I was on CGL 1 and CGL 2. Myself and Gio were casting Bum FC v 0907. That game was a fever dream. It was the champion Bull One Trick Golden Pants versus the Face It Masters team. And with all due love to Bum FC, it kind of was some like 1v9 type beat. I kind of lost my mind. I started arguing with a player on my DMs halfway through the series. It wasn't ideal. Amplify v Team Vex, obviously what we're seeing right now, 1-0 right now as we speak. And waiting on that map number 2 as soon as we reach the hour. It's 22 minutes and change, and we'll have Cuddle Puddle taking on Death Blossom on CGL 2. So that's the itinerary for the day. And as we get towards the end of this mid-season tournament, I gotta say we've been just like chock full of games.
100%. That Cuddle Puddle Death Blossom game could be a certified banger, all things considered. I mean, Konopoto is one of those teams where you didn't expect a ton out of them, but when we saw them in that matchup the other day, I mean, honestly, did a fantastic job. So no surprise to move on. But of course, we should take a look at how things are here, Spectrum, because there's been already quite a few matches within this mid-season tournament as we're speaking right now. So we can take a look at a bracket, kind of give a little show as to what's been going on.
Yeah, take a gander at it as soon as we get it there. Here we go.
Lovely.
Okay, Dilducks 3-0 by retirement home. Not maybe what many people expected. We kind of thought they would go maybe a little bit deeper. Garvey Foxtails get the 3-0 against Substun. Vicious Sharks get kind of blown out the wall by Amplify. Same for Sienna Heights. Retirement home then lose in their winners round 2 matchup and waiting in the finals for either Amplify or Team Vex. No matter which way you look at it here, I think it's pretty fair to say, Hunter, that this is already maybe not what we expected.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of situation right there. It's not what you would expect. No, I think Agave, in all fairness, was an undefeated team, only dropped a single map, so it is fair to say they could have made it to this point into these finals. But regardless of any of that, Dilduck's retirement home, I would expect both these teams honestly do have the kind of caliber to make it into that spot, Spectrum. But it's a mid-season tournament. It's one of those situations where it's not the end of the world if you don't make it or don't, end up winning the whole thing. The extra win, obviously, it's nice, but it's not groundbreaking if you're a team that is already sitting pretty well and is already pretty confident as to how you're going to perform for the season itself. Yeah.
So as you can see, we do have the map finally coming through. Route 66 is where we are going to be going. Took us a little while, but it seems like we are finally getting through. It seems like Amplify had a long, hard heart-to-heart about the somewhat catastrophe that kind of was Oasis, right? So they are making more than a couple of changes. We'll get into them in just a second. But I've got to say, Route 66 is fair enough, right? It feels like into what we want to see Team Vex play the Bull and Doom. It's kind of awkward to play here, right? You kind of have to take the frontline trade. It's hard to poke out. Or it's really easy to be poked out is probably a better way of phrasing that. We'll see if they actually decide to still ban the Doom, considering they can maybe hold it for a map where Doom is going to be more viable. Something like an Esperanza, for example. Nope, they don't want to mess around. They're not goofing here. They just straight out Thanos snap Seafall.
Yeah, absolutely zero hesitation there. Exactly what we thought was going to happen, and it happened right now. The question now is the response, obviously. I think you can go a few routes in the situation right here. But I mean, the question is whether you take out a DPS or whether you take out a support, and it's going to be a DPS, and it's going to be Torbjorn in the situation right there. So, I mean, a year ago, you would call someone crazy for banning a Torbjorn, but nowadays, it might be one of the most sane choices I've ever heard of.
I'm not quite sure about that. I guess if you want to play Amplify like Winston Anna stuff, then it would make sense. I'm not crazy familiar with their picks, but I would kind of assume they'll be moving towards something more static. Obviously, we do see maybe not a substitution, but a role swap at least. Solo's then moving over to DPS, Ewan on support. So it does give them the flexibility to actually do main support stuff now. See if a Solo then performs any better than their counterpart when on that fragging role.
Yeah, honestly, even if they perform like nearly as well, if we kind of have a little bit more of what we're hoping for with that main support ability sitting by, that could be what they need to get through, because you look at that second round and they were relatively even overall. There were just these small mistakes that Amplify were making during these fights that I think could be cleaned up in the situation right here. But of course, just got to see what the case is right now. I'm going to see what Team Vex wants to do, whether they want to attack first or whether they want to defend first. Teams normally will opt to defend first and foremost, but Spectrum will get those teams occasionally that like to attack first, whether it's a show of confidence, whether it's them thinking they can close this thing out pretty quickly. It can kind of be both sides of the table, but usually we'll end up starting out on the defense. So for Amplify, trying to figure out how to break through that defense first and foremost, because attacking that gas station, I will say, not the easiest thing to do in the world.
I feel maybe it's just my hot take, but attacking like sides, I feel like changes nothing. Like it's purely psychological. If you prefer attacking or defending, I feel like you just want to do whichever one first. At the end of the day, you still gotta play both sides. It's not like if you play one, it's just like guaranteed to do like more. It's not like in Counter-Strike or Valorant, right? Where if you prefer the attack or defense side, you're guaranteed the full amount of maps on that preferred side, you know? It's just, we just do it on vibes here in Overwatch, I think.
I think it depends per person, but I think your opinion is also correct. I think we're both correct to a degree.
Yeah, like if you prefer something, then fair enough, play it first. It's better for your mental, you know? But like, I think people treat it as it's always better to attack or it's always better to defend, and it ain't that deep, guys.
Nah, it's just a vibe. It's how you feeling. You know, we feel like attacking first, we feel like defending first. I've normally defended first, but sometimes I attack first. So speaking of attacking first, that's what Team Vex is going for here.
Yeah, defensively the comp double flex still actually, which is curious considering they decided to just swap around their roles. Ewan on that Zen, Consequence on the Ana. Gap is going to have plenty of resources here. This is a very heavy poke comp. You can use your Zen orb on your Genji to mark like under/main. You have some decent opportunities here, but I will say that you're relatively slow to actually pivot to anything. So let's best hope this setup is correct, because if not, Team Vex will just explode it.
Yeah, 100%. And Ana and Zen individually can blow up very easily, very diveable targets. And obviously, very headshotable targets as well, at least in the terms of the Zenyatta. So for the time being, this whole cart right now, Gap going to be doing a really good job. I bet his Consequence already has been delivered a lot of pressure, has been taken down as Ramsu. Hey, you know that thing we talked about 10 seconds, Spectron, that we said didn't need to happen? Well, unfortunately, it happened.
Well, so the way you're supposed to stop a dive from a blade chasing your backline in this comp is by having your Zen Ana hard look at the hazards, whereas your Genji takes orb and fights the 1v1. Unfortunately, none of that really happens. Seafall isn't purple. Winter, being a hit scan player, historically loses the Genji 1v1, and Amplify just evaporate. Swap over to the Lucio, I think is better. I'm not sure that it makes this comp good, but it gives you some survivability into the hazard at least.
Yeah, that is true. And ooh, Solo Zen is not making it into the fight. Consequence isn't making it into the fight either. Oh boy, this is not the most ideal situation to start the map, as Bugsup can help finish things around. Gap gonna be the last one sent back to the spawn room as Team Vex gonna get a quick take here. Amplify gonna consider what to do once more, but for the time being, looks like 0 swaps.
Barely a speed bump in the way of Team Vex is Amplify. That wall as well, forcing the drop from the Ana. Does great work, slows down when you can repush the infra site as well. They can do essentially nothing. The only person who can peek right now is Gap holding Matrix. It's just great work so far. Team Vex putting on a clinic right now.
100% right now. Gap just kind of stay hidden away for the time being right now. Seafall doing a good job of forcing it in. Iwando still managing to survive over on the Lucio, but again, Doc getting away with another shot, getting rid of Winter, which unfortunately, one of your more deadly tools right there. It's kind of hard to really do a whole lot in this situation without him right now, as Vex has Nano standing by for Seafall if they want to invest in this situation. Not necessarily something you have to do right now, but if you wanted to go in and try to really secure a fight, I mean, Spec, it's 100% an option at this point.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They're probably just waiting until Seafall drops low and actually needs Nano as like a repressure, just to get the maximum possible value. Kind of low now, see if you want to go in with it.
Yep, and on cue, essentially, right now, Seafall's ready to go. Consequence, unfortunately,
guys.
Yeah, you got that's kind of necessary in that situation. But as things are right now, Ramsu and Doc, not in the most ideal of situations right now. Seafall goes for the climb. Unfortunately, do not get their rock climbing license. And unfortunately, we'll have to get out the hard way. But Winter going down means that if Ramsu lives, a re-engagement is pretty quickly possible.
You need a rock climbing license? That's
Maybe.
Crazy. I don't think you do. I just like start climbing stuff. No one's told me off yet.
We really need to like talk to you sometime. But either way, fight continuing as Ramsu got a blade ready to go. Just get hit with the anti though, hiding away. Consequence Winter popping off for the time being, helping the team come back out. Even if they get demacked, still have the ability to go with that bomb and make something happen. The honor break even separated, keeping each other up nicely as they're gonna back off, take the reset, and Amplify. It seemed to be getting a little something going, but it's Sleep gonna stop the kill on the Vex.
So the Vex was a little bit close to the business side of things. The same could be said of Bugsup, is forced to rally out. You should be able to get out. You force the remake out of Gap. You should be able to make it back in, but Ewan just dies with sound barrier.
Yeah, that's that was kind of your one ticket right now. We see the Sleep, the pulse went off. Fortunately, didn't get a whole lot. You get the trade out right there, but the problem is, Yuan has to make it back quickly, and Gap needs to try to stay in the mech for that time right now, because you have to be able to beat and keep Gap alive if you want to have any chance of pulling this one back right now. They're hanging around.
Wow.
That's an Ajax right there. That is an Ajax.
you're right.
Literally the frame that Ivan picked the button that could not have happened at a worse time, and unfortunately Gap gets deleted, and Team Vex 3.5 minutes on the clock. Gonna continue moving forward.
That is actually crazy. Ewan just, microwaves him. What an Ajax, right? I mean, it's great mechanics, obviously, on the Hazard. But it's probably a pertinent time to make the swap over to the Brig. Yeah, it sucks into the Haz, but you just lost your ult. Sometimes you need to change a pace more than the optimally correct hero. Amplify really haven't put up too much of a defense here as of yet. We'll see if this third point is more of their speed.
Yeah, definitely gonna see if that's gonna be the case or not. Still 3 minutes on that clock. Plenty of time to work with. Let's see if we're gonna take a nice little nap right now. Doc eventually gonna go down. Winter able to deliver a little bit of pressure. As Vex kind of hanging around as the Nano's gonna be given the self Nano. Also online for that mana right now. And poor Solozen, no place to run, no place to hide. Will get deleted in time. As eventually Amplify be forced to kind of back up a little bit right now. Gap, though, given the Nano in the situation. Big anti onto the backline, though. Mega Health Pack is waiting. Unfortunately, only one could get it. And unfortunately, for Gap, bomb's going to go off. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to result in anything a whole lot, but gets slept out of it. Oh, no.
It is close to spawns as well for Amplify. Their tank, they will be full 5 way before Team Vex's. Just a giga feed from Seafall means that suddenly we're in a position where the retake is not just likely, it's almost guaranteed.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could pop the play here, but it would be the biggest risk in the world, and you have nothing to really back you up with it. So, it coming out, Vex gets hit with it, but we'll just simply just wait around to Amplify. They don't have the ability to push. Winter's the only one that can right now, but with the pulse like that, why would you need to? Bugs getting taken care of, and now the blade comes through anyway right now. But the sleep came through, and now that's a shutdown right there. And now, once again, things looking good for Amplify once more. Vex gonna get taken care of, and now minute 20 on the clock. Nice little late pick on top of that. I mean, Amplify doing all right for themselves.
I gotta say, having Winter on this traitor, I think is a lot more comfortable for her than the Genji. Does a hero who hit scan players are much more likely generally to have the ability to pilot to some extent, right? And because of that, Team Vex forced to stop. Minute left to go. They will have double support ults and the downput as well for this fight. Amplify going to put a lot of eggs into the solo Zen basket, and that's maybe not what you wanted to see.
Yeah, not necessarily right now. Seafull gets hit with the anti-nade as the backline just gets ran down, unfortunately. Spec, this is becoming a when, not an if situation right now, as gonna send it down. Gap gonna get deleted right now. Gonna block off that zone touch, as a pause is going to come through at what might be one of the most inconvenient time as possible. But I mean, they essentially have the point on lock. It's literally like a quarter of a second away from being capped, so it's not going to affect a single thing.
Yeah, it's just how it goes sometimes. Call it a completion. It'd probably be the easiest. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think anybody marked left side at all. So that the Genji Hazard question mark were able to kind of just walk through and make Ewan go back to spawn. Oh, the only 20-meter trip. But yeah, just kind of gets taken down. You were 5% off of rally. That would have helped you live and still point way longer. Unfortunately, Amplify are kind of getting worked right now. I think this is all coming down to not having a phone in who can just play that flex DPS role so comfortably. I mean, we unpause and there's literally nothing happens. There's no time. It's the most convenient timing ever.
The most convenient pause in all of CGL history right there, ladies and gentlemen. But either way, 38 seconds on the clock. Not bad at all. It's nice to just finish Route 66 anyway. Sometimes it can be tough to break through that last part. It can be tough to break through quite a few parts of Route 66. But either way, now Amplify needs to do the exact same thing. Have to finish the map with or without time. They want to have an opportunity to take this one away. Now the question is if the compositions on either team are going to switch up at all. And for Amplify, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to stick with the typical break on it in this situation. And Vex looking to do the same with Bug Soup, and they're not changing a thing outside of Doc, who will be starting out on the Ashe instead.
Indeed, will be coming through. Generally, than the Sojourn, you have better poke. That is, you're better at keeping tanks low HP so they can't run at you. In exchange for having a little bit less pick power, your ultimate is much more consistent than the Overclock. I think Bob is generally more powerful, but Overclock is definitely better for hitting clips at least, right? As for the rest of this comp with the Ana Break backline, it really shows that they want to lean in towards just hard poke, right? You can't really go for backline engages. If you hit a nade, you can send in your Genji, your Hazard, right? But you're really playing this Ana just for her gun, right? So she can continue to just rain extra damage down onto Amplify, who are looking to close the distance as much as possible. And Doc is trying to get me motion sick.
Yeah,
That's like really bad.
You know,
Can we swap, guys, please?
Yeah, this is not what I needed after coming down from a sickness. This is not helping the situation. But either way, first fight is continuing, or more so starting, I guess I should say, is Seaful. Taking a fair amount of damage, but Vex more than happy to provide a little bit of heals, keep them running for the time being. Gap delivering a little bit of pressure on top of that. Unfortunately, it's just never going to do anything alone, but with Winter by their side, hey, gonna get plenty of progress in that situation. Toolzen, all right. Toolzen showing off the skills a little bit right there as Amplify trying to make their way through right now, trying to find a pick onto Doc right now, sitting super low right now. Unfortunately, DM.
Okay, so let's not fumble this.
Yeah, it's getting slightly fumbled right now as Seaful still has all the care in the world.
Yeah, I'm just going to be able to continue being active. We'll drop down low, and an overpeak there will mean that Winter can capitalize. Surely that's going to be it here. Possibly an even faster time bank if Team Vex's recontest is going to be shut down, as indeed we expect it to be.
Yeah, they're going to consider it with the Genji, but when you lose your break like that, it's just not going to happen. Winter's a little mad about the way things have been going, I'm guessing, at this point right now. And with that eat of Vex's nade right there as well, going to get taken out. So Amplify, I would say, about as good of a start as you could have ever hoped for.
I mean, I was getting ready to complain about Winter being on this flex roll, right? Obviously a fantastic player, but on that hit scan standard. Probably not. They're low HP. And
They may have.
I mean, if you want, I don't think that's very worth it.
It's not, because now Amplify, I mean, they're going to lose the fight, fair enough, but now they're going to very clearly have the ult advantage going into this fight, but...
Yeah, I mean, Doc is fresh swapping over to the Sojourn, right? They've got 30% of that, 26% of this downpour. Amplify are essentially 5 ults to 3. They can probably just, like, open with Kitsu. That's going to force a Nano to go onto Ramsu, and then, I mean, it sucks that you lose to the Nano Blade, but then your opponent's totally skint. So you just have better ult economy no matter what you do.
100% right now. Little 1v1 going right now.
Seaful's just dead?
Yeah, Seaful being dead doesn't make the situation very easy right now. Vex, Bugsuit getting damage right now. Both have those ultimates sitting by. The question whether or not you're going to use them in the situation right now, and at least 2 are going to be used. 3 are going to be used, but Solozana's gotten rid of 2. Nice little deep flank as Ramsu popping off. Got a 2k, got a 3k, doing a phenomenal job, though, but Winter is still hanging around. It's a 2v2 gap. He's likely going to have to hit the bomb. They want to be able to survive this, doing it just to kind of regroup, get all their health together. Should be able to get the team back here momentarily, and Team Vex will likely have to back off momentarily.
Yeah, with the Lucio comp from the get-go, Amplify will be here a smidge faster, but everyone's right back in the action. But I gotta say, Amplify still have more ults.
Yeah, and at the moment, more damage right now. Beats being invested. They are just doubling down on this fight, looking to try to find Doc, and it looks like it's going to be a successful endeavor right now, and now it might be becoming a matter of time before it simply takes over. But they've kind of separated themselves a little bit in this situation. They lose Lucio in the situation, and nobody's standing on the cart either, and now they eventually make their way back, and now the numbers game might be playing a little too far away in the situation. Spec, I mean, at this point, I would send priority over to the card as much as humanly possible. It looks like the numbers game will eventually play its factor right there, but it's you play a dangerous game when you don't give some level of priority to the cart.
I mean, there's also not much you can do, right? When your opponent just comes in 5 faults to 3, the fight goes long, so everybody's forced to spend everything. It ends up with a point where Amplify have beaten Blade, and Vex don't, so they kind of just lose, unfortunately. That's just how this game works sometimes. You get behind in your economy, and you just kind of get screwed. That being said, the fact that people did spend all that means that we're somewhat in a rebuilding phase here. Neither team can really go first. Amplify going to poke until they have probably Kitsune Rush, and then probably try and kite out the overclock would be their plan.
Yeah. Makes complete sense in this situation right now. Plenty of time to work with right now. Cap has that bomb ready to go for the sake of the remake right now. Gonna go for the dash. Solo Zen getting taken care of right now. Might not need anything more than that as Ramsu, while doesn't have a health pack waiting, not quite gonna matter as a bomb is going to be invested as Seafood gets taken out somehow.
I'm not quite sure even why we bombed there, considering we're down 1 or 2, but you kill Seafood for it, so far be it from me to question Gap's decision. Amplify now can walk forward, they have tank advantage, and numbers advantage in a second as well. Team Vex on the back foot now.
Yeah, and we're gonna see the rush be used here as well. Ramsu gonna get simply deleted. No way of getting out of that situation right there. Seafood gonna have to try to jump out right there. And it's looking like a situation where Amplify, the beat sitting by right now, have an ability to do this right now, but Team Vex has plenty of responses right now. You see how much they're willing to invest in this fight right here to be able to take it away. Beats be invested by both sides of the situation as well. Ramsu might be waiting for the blade, and indeed gonna go for it. Deflex though is ready to cut away at it. Ramsu has gotten one. Hoping to find a second right here, but might not be too entirely necessary. Downpour is ready, but at this point you've already invested quite a bit into this fight. It'd be definitely unnecessary at this point right now, but the Kitsune Rush ends up being used, and Solo Zen hoping to find something. Unfortunately, don't know how viable it's going to be with Sifa going down. It's looking pretty dang viable. Oh my gosh.
Solo Zen, how are you doing this? You shouldn't even use that ult, but somehow you found the bloody 3-piece. There's still people left to eliminate, but there's a real chance that Amplify can finish with a better time bank somehow than Team Vex. Remember, they still got this bomb and the blade to defend, and that Kitsu's just over the horizon.
Yeah, and it's getting dangerous because now Vex is getting on the situation. Winner is hacking and slashing away at God knows nothing right now, but Seafull getting super low. Bomb's going to come out. Unfortunately, it's not going to result in the point being taken, and barring somebody jumping off this point, unfortunately, Gap is probably going to get hard staggered here.
Okay, Winter doesn't know how to Dragon Blade. Other than that, her Genji has been really quite strong, but unfortunately, having absolutely no dice with the blade both times she's tried to pull it. So the cart will be allowed to roll through here. Just going to be on pause, 1.89 meters before it actually gets that cap, right? Team Vex, for their recontest, they're relatively happy. They'll have blade guaranteed, support ults coming online. Amplify, I mean, they have a small lead on this Kitsu, so they want to go as fast as possible here. Because if it goes any longer, then Vex and Bug Soup, will be able to close the gap.
Yep, 100%. It get very dangerous as things continue. Winter just getting a little low. Needs a little bit of care in this world, and unfortunately, Lens is not there to give any aid. And the rush is going to be given up top left right there. Consequence sitting super low. Needs a bit of care to work with. We'll eventually get it to some extent right here as Ramsu has that blade ready to go. Don't want to pull it too soon in the situation. Don't want to leave too much time on that clock for a potential retouch, especially with the beat ready to go. But the beat's going to be invested in this situation right now. I mean, yeah, he can't be mad at it right now, but it's going to come down to Ramsu to try to find something here. Needs to pop the blade eventually. At this point, though, honestly, not even going to need it right now. Gap is going to get out temporarily, but unfortunately, Gap, I don't think has a way to realistically get back to point if Seafull can help it.
I mean, 4 seconds left to go. I think mathematically we can see a touch come through, but will it be any good? I tell a lie. It can't. Team Vex up 2-0 right now. Amplify simply outclassed is how it kind of seems, right? I mean, they're much more competitive here in that number 2. We're able to see a bit more from Winter, a bit more from Solo Zen. That Sojourn was quite impressive, actually. But unfortunately, just what I can only describe as some mild trolling happening from a couple members of them, making it so they can't keep it consistent, they can't keep it up. And Team Vex now 1 map away from booking their ticket towards those NA Open Finals.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a situation right now, and it's you can't just put it all into the fact that Amplify just doesn't have foam. It is Team Vex genuinely playing very well and doing a really good job. They're making mistakes, certainly. That's entirely fair, but they're also playing a well-designed comp they are focusing very well on these ultimates. Ramsu is just popping off on this blade nearly every single time. When you have somebody who's able to do that, it's a very powerful tool that can turn around these fights. But Spec, you said it yourselves, it is match point already for Team Vex. Amplify, though, get one more opportunity to go through map and mode and figure out their ban situation. But Spec, before anything, gonna take it to our halftime break. So it'll be a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with the second half of this matchup. Will be a quick 3-0. Maybe the reverse sweep will come on the way. You'll find out right after this break.
Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. 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 I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. I'm so caught in this, we're so lost deep in it, can't stop. I'm forever the one you call. Let's free fall. Let's free fall. Let's free fall.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from our halftime break here. This matchup to decide our other finalists for the NA Open division. And in this situation today, lo and behold, the score below you is in fact not a mistake at all. Team Vex currently up 2-0 on Amplify, hoping to make it the 3-0 shutout to put themselves into those grand finals against Gawe Foxtails. But Amplify still with an opportunity to pop back, still make a couple of decisions. Spectreon, of course, it's not going to be an easy climb whatsoever, but they started to find some level of success back on Route 66, so it's not completely out of the question.
That they did. I'm gonna be real with you. I spent the 5-minute break trying to think of a Maroon 5 payphone phone pun, but I couldn't get it to work. So just imagine I said something witty. The lack of phone is.
This is what I have to deal with every time, guys. Every other's cast.
If I had it though, it'd be hysterical. You guys would be in tears. Listen, no, the lack of phone has been pretty sorely felt here. Unfortunately, they're not really able to really connect, much like you when you have no cell phone. I'm sorry, I'll stop. Amplify have banned. They have first ban. They're kind of losing to everything. They lost the Doomfist ban. They could ban Haz if they wanted, but I feel like they will be probably better served banning like a Genji or another DPS hero who your hero pool is probably not going to be fantastic for, considering phone is still MIA. I have to wait and see exactly what they do, though, because it kind of does feel like they're losing everything.
Yeah, definitely does seem to be the case right now, so it might just be a case of preference at this point as to what the ban might be. And Genji will end up being the selection. You already brought it up yourself. I don't think this is a bad choice whatsoever. I think Ramsu performing very generously on it is enough to deter it away from it, especially when Winter was already kind of popping off over on the Tracer instead. I think it ends up being a pretty good choice, but now, curious what the response from Team Vex is going to be.
Yeah, I feel like they got a lot of options. I would probably just ban Tracer to be really annoying, to be honest.
Well, unfortunately, you can't.
You can't do that. It's true. They banned Juno.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
It's not what I would have personally went towards. But I don't think it's bad either. It's going to hit a lot of the range of what we want to see Amplify typically playing here, like kind of Malga comps. It would hurt kind of Queen comps, but you can still make do with Kiri Juno, or Kiri Lucio. Sorry, they showed pretty a lot of comfortability. Sorry, playing on map number 1 especially. So whilst I understand why they went towards it, they don't want to play against it, and they don't want to hit their own range. I feel like they could have gone for a more targeted ban. That being said, considering they are up 2-0, they can afford to be a little bit experimental here, because they have a lot of runway here before the enemy team actually achieves liftoff.
Yeah, 100% in this situation right here. Plus, it's to a lesser extent because they haven't had too much of a trouble dealing with the orbital ray, but kind of the orbital ray versus the Kitsune Rush which is essentially like a paper tiger into a storm in many occasions. Don't have to deal with that kind of situation right there. Kitsune Rush v Kitsune Rush is going to be happening most of the time, so a lot more of the mirror ultimates where things are very much going to be 50-50 in that sense. But either way, New Joke City getting ready to be underway. I think quite a beautiful map that if I remember correctly, when they did the spotlight, they are like reworking these maps to an extent.
They're definitely reworking Suravasa, I think I mentioned. I can't lie, I don't even think Flashpoint is bad. I think the game mode's plenty playable, especially Suravasa. Keep that map the same. Otherwise, Captain Prash is going to lose his Prash buff, and he's going to be mad. You don't want either of those things to happen.
Crazy. Also, new duck. New duck just dropped.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that duck before. I'm
not in the business of memorizing duck locations.
Oh well, then you're not an observer then.
No.
It's
have you seen me try and observe at any point? It's essentially like spinning somebody around 30 times after they've had like 6 pints. It ain't gonna work.
It's crazy. But anyway, another fun job is seeing all those P's on the side and realizing that, hey, maybe the game needs to be paused, which it will with 1.4 seconds left on the clock. And Spec lineups looking pretty fair. It's about what we would have thought for Amplify at the very least. I imagine Winter, she's like they're going to TP everybody out, but the question is, does she stick over onto that Symmetra, or is it simply a TP to get them out and go over something like the Tracer instead?
Sim's pretty viable, just like sticking on, especially on a map type like Flashpoint, where you end up taking a lot of front to back fights. There's also wide space to teleport across, and while your team won't be able to find the most teleport value, you can as an individual. So if you have the Sim gene, I really don't hate it at all, right? Civ Up, for example, will play a lot of these maps. That being said, it's not all that common. Most people don't really like playing the Symmetra because they find it to be finicky, right? You explode at really close range, but you have no damage at really long range, so you have to play a very thin kind of Goldilocks zone of space and range, right? That most people don't really want to bother learning when you can just play Soj and you've got a runaway, get out of jail free button, essentially, right? So they absolutely could. I wouldn't mind it at all if they're comfortable on it, but I think just the skill curve makes it unlikely.
I think that's a very fair point right there. I do think you could run it if you felt comfortable enough, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if it was just a simple swap over to Soj or Tracer instead, and just go about it that way. Obviously, with the Malga 1v1, it's going to be a very interesting situation. Interesting that I mean it's going to be two Malgas slamming their faces into each other repeatedly over the course of the next 7 minutes of our lives, but we're going to be getting back into things momentarily, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll see whether or not this will be the case right here as Winter. He's going to go ahead and TP out. Looks like the swap is going to go over to the Tracer as this fight will get going as Ramsu over on that Sombra as well.
So I'm just giving you a lot of EMP fight wins, better tank pressure as well. Winter's probably got to go first and win out these DPS 1v1s or just punish the backline else. Amplify going to experience some trouble with this.
Yeah, unfortunately, the first hack does not turn out very successful right here. It's going to make it a really tough one to come away with right now, though. A nice little stomp counter right there. Unfortunately, it's not going to mean a whole lot. So that's the kind of gamble you're going to go for in this situation right there. If Ramsey was able to get the hack off and you get the kill on the Gap, I mean, that's going to nearly end the fight already. But if you mess up and you lose the Sombra, I mean, your plan is kind of already falling apart.
I mean, Amplify, one of the teams who play Sombra the most, right, in OWCS, with Phone piloting that hero. More often than not, Ramsu. Oh, don't have a peek there. You're on like 12 HP. Winter just feeds. I was gonna criticize Vex from the bat because I think the hero here just explodes any pressure. But if you explode Winter, I think we can't really chat too much.
Well, Ramsu is just holding the W key, which I mean, more power to you. But not the situation I used it for, because now Solo Zen gets a pick right now, and now it's just going to be pick central coming up here. Because, I mean, first of all, Vex is not going to get out of here alive. I think at this point, Doc would be lucky to get out of here alive, and Bugsuit going to live to tell the tale. But, I mean, right side is double swirl from both sides, but Gap is way further ahead on Cage Fight.
Yeah, Ramsu, listen, all respect due, right? You're a fantastic player. I'm especially impressed by your Genji. Get off Bastion. Get off Bastion. This hero's terrible, and you're gonna die. They go for the low ground rotate, which is cool, I guess, but then you give it all the angles once you get onto the point. Your Tracer and Lucio and maybe Malga can stall point out until the flip comes through, and then you get shot by better angles, is what I'd expect. Good beat.
Yeah, beats come through. Gonna see the Cage Fight come through as well. Nice little boop right there. I believe it knocked Ramsu off the high ground right now, but you see Cap having to run away from the inside right there. Eventually gonna get bodies back onto the point. Pulse Bomb not going to catch onto anybody right now as Winter eventually gets taken out, but for the time being, it's still very much an advantage towards Amplify, and that advantage is going to turn soon, I imagine, to solidification right now, as it's just going to be just Bugsuit hanging around, just going to be trying to find a little bit of time to buy. Unfortunately, it's all going to be his time, but as Amplify will take the first point, rather confidently so, but Team Vex is going to have a slight alt advantage into the next fight.
I mean, yeah, they've got Cage and OC, and it's cool because Amplify only have OC. But the Team Vex comp just it evaporates under any pressure. They have to be the ones either playing hard poke or going first because okay, now they made the swap over to the Trace. It's now a little bit better. The only weakness is still with this BAP. If you don't swing first, then you're just going to die in a way that Kiriko simply won't. So I do think it's still a weakness. See if it's one that's exploited here as the Traces begin their duel.
Yep, 100%. See the duel come through right now in the situation right now, but Winter gonna have to hit that recall right there. Seafolk is going to trap Solo Zen in not the most ideal spot in the world if your name is Solo Zen, and unfortunately, that's gonna result in that fight being pretty much over on the spot. But your bright side right now kind of just creates a nice little wipe, get everybody back on even playing field and Gap with potential to get it for the next fight.
Absolutely. Same with your Beat, your Kitsu. At the end of the day, your opponent spent 2, you spent 1, and it sucks to get out first cap, but it's not the end of the world for you by any means. Winter, if I'm them, probably playing a little bit harder for the Tracer one, knowing you can get carry resources, your enemy can't really. So I'd be focusing on the setup more than anything else, and exactly what we want to see here. Oh, good lord, that's a great shot from Doc.
Yeah, at that point for Amplify, you just get out. There's no reason to take that fight. You have nothing to invest right now anyway, and now you can go into this fight, and you get a slight pick of the litter as to what you want to use here.
Indeed.
Oh, well, you know,
okay.
Yeah, just right to it. Why not? Gonna go with City Rush first here. Beats invested on both sides right now. Cage fight over on the other side is gonna slam down on, unfortunately, with no beat ready on the other side of things. Both sports going to be blown to smithereens right now. I'm still gonna be more than happy to just hang on to this pulse bomb, which is the correct decision, 100%. As Tina comes through right now, pulse bomb B hang on to from both sides, but otherwise, yeah, ultimate's wiped once more.
Amplify get the flip, they spend more ultimates. It's as simple as that. We see beat flexible ult from both teams, but because Amplify also have the cage, then they win. I don't think they did too much there to make that fight particularly flashy. At the end of the day, cage fights with no beats are essentially just a guaranteed fight win. That ultimate is beyond powerful. Trying to get some of that early poke in that will typically favor Team Vex, remember. So some pressure onto Vex as the player would be fantastic. They go for this right side wrap, but it's very readable, I gotta say. That means that it's going to be super easy for Amplify to set up now.
Oh yeah, there's something like that right there. Now Gap has to stay alive right now, which is not the most difficult thing in the world, but Body's hanging inside in the most unideal place right now. Winter able to go in and simply delete Vex right now. Be very lucky if Bug Soup could get out of here alive, and unfortunately, having to recall like that and Bug Soup getting back as late as they are, retouch here is possible. Ramsu is the only person that has even a chance in the world.
Ramsu scales. Oh, check.
Okay.
Beautiful there.
That is a wonderful check, and unfortunately, they are not getting out of there alive. And now, unfortunately, you can invest, you can push this as hard as you want, but you don't have anything to invest into right now. Bodies are getting low. Pulse Bomb, while it does end up missing after the day, ended up securing the fight. And now, Amplify, that point currently, getting progress, and are going to have another cage fight going into this one.
I feel like the Genji ban is just doing wonders for them, forcing Ramsu to match. I mean, they've been playing Mystery Heroes the entire time, right? We start Sombra, then go Bastion, then go Tracer, now run Mei. They have no idea who to play, and Winter just stuck on this Tracer the entire time, and it's just been absolutely running their pockets.
I mean, 100%. It's working out beautifully for them right now, and again, likely gonna have the double cage fight by the time both teams engage with each other right now. But Solo Zen will be more than happy as Doc is like, oh, I'll match your ult right here. See what happens in the situation. Going up to 150 charge, holy moly! But either way, point has unlocked right now. Cage fight going to be activated, but the beat is coming up online very shortly right now. Gap likely not going to need it though, as one has already gone down right now. They're being cleared away as they set it on the other side of things. So now 15% in counting. You trade around, you do lose your Lucio at the end of the day, but that's perfectly fine as you guess a nice little stagger onto Ramsu while you're at it.
In the end, they end up dying to the bleed damage. Vex has made the swap over to the Kiriko. Seaful is on the Doomfist. They've had enough of trying to match the Malga. I feel like it would have worked out a little bit better if they tried mirroring that Kiriko, as I mentioned at length at this point. The Doomfist is how they found most of their success. See if Seaful can find some magic picks into a very inopportune matchup.
Yep, 100% going for the big punch. Unfortunately, getting nothing but air. As now they're just hard pushing now. And, I mean, they're just being blown apart at the end of the day. Winter, recall, to be able to stay alive. And now, Cheerful and Ramsu individually just have to try to live because they're the only potential touches in the world.
Yeah, and this pulse here, I mean, just 6 Seaful. Even, especially if they use block, in fact, because that's an easy timing to hit, and the one that just removes the Doomfist's ability to touch. You know, they can physically reach it, they just have no HP. There's a touch, at least.
Yeah, there's a touch. There's a couple of touches, actually. But either way, Doc has already gone down. It flips over, but Winter still has the Pulse Bomb ready to go right now. Big punch gonna come through and to absolutely get nothing right now. But gonna hopefully try to find a little success. Nice prediction on the punch right there. Unfortunately, not sure if it's gonna result in anything much right there. So listen, getting low, but at the end of the day, Amplify very much playing like the Amplify. We know that band being perfect. That's gonna be a 3-0 here on this map. Amplify gonna take their first map of the day.
I mean, just worked out way... Okay, why are we barking? I hate NA, dude. This region
That's
so weird.
crazy.
You guys are so weird sometimes. I swear to God.
I can't.
No. But no, right? I do think we definitely see the better of the bans come out there from Amplify. Again, I said it before, I'll say it again. Removing the Genji works out so well in their favor. On the Malga comp, Team Vex just don't look the same. We see with the BAP, I mentioned being a weakness. Rams, who doesn't know what to pick, as I mentioned, a bit of a weakness there. And Amplify just able to exploit that. Winter's Tracer looked phenomenal. Solo Zen had their moments absolutely on that Sojourn, and the ult rotation as well, just pristine. Amplify definitely a team who made their name on this Malga composition, right? And so their ability to play it will be paramount. That being said, the fact that they won that map means it's now Team Vex's map and first ban. So they can either go towards a map where Malga's probably just kind of crap, like a Blizzard World, or a pretty good Blizzard World to be honest, but like a Dorado as well, if that was still in, you know, anything like that. And then you could save your Malga ban through for a possible map number 5, which would end up going towards something that Malga is probably more playable at. So we'll see how they decide to play it. But I do think that this is going to be the hardest map yet for Amplify.
Yeah, because for at this point, it's either going to be push or it's going to be hybrid, which at this point, I would agree going to hybrid, going to like a Blizzard World is probably the correct choice right there. Easiest way to get away from the Malga, you could technically still play the Malga. I think it's still good for something like third point. I think you could 100% run it there, but the problem is you have to get there in the first place. It's kind of like an Eichenwald situation where Brawl's really good on third, but that doesn't mean you can start on Brawl. But Spectreon, you being the big-brained British man that I know, you are 100% correct, aren't you? You just knew we were going from the start, didn't you? You got the script sitting right there on your desk.
Yeah, it'd be really funny if it turned the entire time. I just like read the lobby beforehand and I go, oh, it'd be really cool if they did this. I do that maybe. To be fair, I do that about a third of the time. But when I do guess correctly, like now, it's always that one's always real. This one actually was real. Thank you, promise.
That was
all that.
very real.
For Team Vex, I'd probably let the Malga through. I can't lie. I ban like Kiri. I ban Tracer. Tracer ban, fair enough. Force Winter off the hero that she's pretty bloody good at. I think this is a very, very reasonable ban. And as yet, like I mentioned, they're letting that Malga through. Amplify now. It's going to be a target ban onto tank probably again. If you want, you could take away like Kiriko and then play like Malga Juno. It would be also very valid.
Yeah, that's fair, but Hazard gets taken out. To be fair, you know, it was pretty viable earlier on it, but I don't know how I feel. Probably not the best choice in the world, but still has some sort of usefulness that we'll see here quite soon, hopefully. But either way, that means they're not going to be able to hamper the support category at all. So if Team Vex wants to keep running the Kiriko and Amplify wants to keep running the Juno, that's just what's going to happen in this situation. But, I mean, with this being the case, I mean, what does this change, at least specifically for Amplify, with Winter unable to go over onto Tracer? I mean, what's kind of the response now, especially when we kind of talk about our next map here momentarily, where you're not exactly going to be able to replicate what you just did.
My first thought would be go Torp Zen, but they ban Torp Soj, sorry. But they ban Haz, which implies they don't want to do that, because if they play Torp Soj, then they want the opponent team to play Haz, because Haz just evaporates into that. You could force Winter to play Genji. It looks serviceable, except for her blades, which are unfortunately a smidgen dull for our taste. You could role swap again and put Winter back on hit scan, which I wouldn't mind actually, and get like Solo Zen to play Sombra. If you're good at playing, if you're finding success on the Tracer, you could again try like a Sombra or a Venture. Those are heroes hit scans normally have some ability to play. But it's all very up in the air. It's a very much a personal preference thing, and unfortunately I'm not familiar enough with Amplify to know the ins and outs of their specific hero pools.
Yeah, 100%. As you've already noted before, as many people know, Phone typically that Sombra player. So I wonder what it's like going with a different Sombra player, because yes, you understand how things are typically are, but when you put a different player, it's always not necessarily going to be the same exact rhythm. And if you've been doing it for as long as they have, which very much have at a very consistent level, you're very much used to a particular style, so things maybe slow down. But do you see things changing around a little bit? Crazy Cat going to be coming in on that support category. Consequence is going to be take a little bit of a break in this situation as going into Blizzard World. Gonna see what this change is going to mean at the end of the day. But I mean, either way, spec something that has to be seen right now. Murloc Island, seen before us here. Lovely place, Blizzard World. I think we had this conversation before about Blizzard World and how it's a great map. And how, you know, it's like I compare it to like the meme of like where it's Obama like giving himself a medal. Like where he's like it's like a thing
Yeah.
of Obama,
Oh yeah, I
and
see.
Obama's
Blizzard
standing
making the good map
behind it.
Blizzard. Okay, to be
Yeah.
fair, that does kind of imply that Blizzard just wake up and decide to make good maps. Or bad maps, sorry. Like, imagine waking up and actually making a map that plays as poorly as Circuit Royale. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, it's as simple as that. Seafall's on the Doomfist. Team Vex on the double flex. It's going to make a walk pretty tricky. And I maybe assuming Amplify won't play a dive comp, I guess, is the thought process here. Crazy Cat's in. So they're getting closer towards people who play pretty standard for Amplify here. So they'll be able to play Anna Brig. So, listen, you're kind of weak to Doom. It's as simple as that. A lot of pressure onto Ewan to actually counter bash some of these punches. Spawn shot's no bueno, but that's just how it works sometimes.
Yep, such is life. Gonna likely head over to that Genji once more. And yeah, this is gonna be quite interesting to see how it goes right now. Lucio and the Ana. I mean, maybe not the most mix and match support duo you could have in your life right now, but Seafall can be more than happy to knock Gap around, try to take them out of position right now, out of the care of Crazy Cat. But for the time being, not gonna do a whole lot right now. Seafall more than happy to shut down this left side as Amplify essentially has to eventually set up a dive now that they've taken this territory, but that's gonna come off the back of a nade as Gap is just getting, I mean, constantly punched back by Seafall.
I mean, that's going to happen, right? I think the really important thing here is you're waiting for a Crazy Cat nade, but Crazy Cat also has to hold the sleep for a Doomfist engage, as we see here, because otherwise you have no way of peeling off a dive.
Yep, 100%. Seafall has gone down, and now you lost 2 in that situation. You're going to see everybody try to back out immediately in the situation, try to get some kind of rally to come back, but unfortunately, with that being the case, Team Vex got to take a full reset here. Give up first point as Amplify, get through without too many problems.
One of the TPs of all time there from Bug Soup, going in after the Doom has died, cleansing nothing, and then getting evaporated by Amplify, who just see the Kiriko, I mean, gift wrapped in front of them. A swap after that play as well over to the Brigitte, so they'll be a little bit stronger at repulsing these dives, a little bit weaker at the poke phase, but it kind of wasn't their cup of tea anyway. I think this is probably going to work out in Team Vex's favor, especially as they're currently looking for a Nano Boost, likely to be delivered onto Gap.
Yeah, very likely right now. Winter's still taking a sweet time getting this blade, not the easiest thing in the world, but Ramsu doesn't need that kind of time. About to have it ready to go right now as it's going to be sent on both sides right now. Both tanks have received it right now. Both not getting a ton of value right now, but they're both going to trade out equally, taking care of these Sojourns right now. Of course, trying to get those shots. Or on the one right now gets cut down as Crazy Cat, oh, not in the most ideal place in the world, gets to sleep, unfortunately. He did not have 2 of those as that cart will eventually stop making progress and yeah, take a bit of a reset.
The end of the world. Winter gets an exit frag, and we are investing here. They're 2 for 2, and it's the kills in favor of Amplify.
I don't hate it in the slightest right now. This is a nice little juggle. To see if you can get rid of Doc here. We'll 100% do so, and we'll get out scot-free if you are Gap. So, now you get the blade and the beat going into this. You're definitely going in with the advantage.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is, I'm not going to say it's borderline unlosable, but as long as you don't blade into the rally, I don't see a way where, Team Vex get an easy advantage.
Well, the rally getting online would be the only thing I would say right now, as Winter does need a little bit of care right now. Is just going to dash back to the point as somebody has to eventually go for the touch. He gets there with only 0.7 meters left right now. Seafall eventually going to make their way back. Vex is just doing everything to pump heals away. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. And then, I mean, similar to what we saw back on Route 66, really fast start on the first 2 points, but now it's all about making that response once again here on the 3rd point.
Exactly. I mean, a very strong lead here for Amplify in terms of time. 4.5 minutes is nothing to scoff at. That being said, being behind on ults, Amplify have to kind of pray Solo Zen just hits every shot. And they've been good for it more than a couple times before. But here into Docs OC and a rally both, then they have to realize they are playing from behind. They have the time to take economy fights. That's probably what we'd love to see here.
That 100% rally has been used, but Sequel has already gone down, unfortunately, and Gap not really in a position where they'll be taken down anytime soon. Gonna go and see if he can get rid of Bug Soup in the situation, as Doc more than happy to respond with the with their own ultimate right now. Zebo might be forced to just back out, take the time. No reason to rush into anything right now. So Nano going to be used. Doc going to get deleted on top of that right now as Gap with the opportunity to dive in even further, but gets slept away and might be forced to use the Primal Rage, but Vex and Bug Soup just gonna hide away as Seaful gonna get booped into the hole.
Just donates their bodies to the void there. Team Vex, you're kind of screwed. Doc over to the top isn't a bad look. You'll have Blade, maybe Meteor Strike to contest, but you're into Blade, Riley beat. You kind of need just a double dink from Doc. It's kind of it.
Yeah, but he get punched around, but Blade is there. Winter has gotten rid of one, likely gonna make it a second as the Blade is there to respond. Unfortunately, it's not gonna matter in time. 3:12 on the clock, which is, I mean, for it being Blizzard World Spectrum, that is a lot of time.
Listen, all I can really say is Amplify were apparently just like sandbagging maps 1 and 2, I guess, like saving their Oasis strats for grand finals, because the team that kind of got blew out of Oasis versus the team we're seeing now, these can't be the same couple of players, right? I mean, Amplify have been heating up terribly into this series. Team Vex don't really have any answers, at least on this dive composition. Seaful's Doom just doesn't hit the same as it did back there on your map number 1. And in terms of the DPS as well, Ramsu's gone absolutely dead silent this time, even on the Genji. It's just a no bueno. Doc seems to move straight towards the Torbjorn here, not wanting to match solo Zen on the Sojourn. I mean, I understand it's decent at marking the Winston, but it feels like it's so much of a problem that you need to take your long-range threat off of the Soj. I don't know. I don't think it's all that.
Yeah, it's definitely debatable at this point as to what you do here. I don't know. I don't know. I agree with you in this situation. I don't think it's quite the right decision to go down this route, but honestly, it's something where they're going to find out very quickly whether it's going to be the case or not. Vex, obviously going to go back over towards the Ana. We're going to be right behind them. Doofist once more on top of that. So, I mean, just got to see what the case is going to be, but this isn't really going to complement Seaful in the way that you originally would kind of hope for right now. But maybe it's a situation where Doc is going to be used more in the fashion of trying to help out Vex and Bug Soup in the backline a little bit more. That's the one defense I can kind of see here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see if it ends up working out, as a lot of space given up only for free. That nade is brutal.
Oh, yeah, just hitting Gap directly in the face. Not the most ideal thing in the world, but Ramsu's still going down. Makes it a fine situation, as Team Vex can only just kind of slowly pot shot away and help get a little more ult charge.
Indeed. I mean, Crazy Cat is uncontested here. Again, holding the sleep dart, waiting for the Doom to come in, because it's the only time where you're going to need to pop it, and then it's a life or death kind of spot. I mean, you'd love to get as much nano charge as you can, and Ewan going down does make that tricky.
Yeah. Not able to find anything over on that anti-ether right now, but you get the trade out. And honestly, not the worst trade out in the world. You still have your main heals sitting by right now. Still going to get a bit of care from Zolo Zen as well, making sure things stay working. But Gap is going to start struggling a little bit, but the Nano is ready right now. So if they want to double down in this fight, 100% they can right now. But it's going to be a nice boop away right now. Seaful, though, got their own. Going to be popping away right now. Crazy Cat can only do so much in the 2v1, and unfortunately, this touch here by Gap might be the last thing, as unfortunately, actually, maybe not. Bug Soup going down. You can give up a tick here. Take a bit to regroup as Crazy Cat's going to come back on the Moira?
Moira is pretty fast. Oh, no, I guess spawn maxing?
Yeah, I guess literally spawn maxing, but either way, fight's continuing momentarily as Seaful has the ability to hard invest here right now, but so does Gap right now. Seaful gonna go up, try to find something, just try to push them away with the bubble right now, as I mean, Doc just not willing to back up in the slightest right now. Rub situation, as unfortunately, I don't know if I really like that trade a whole lot, and as our things are continuing, obviously not the most ideal thing in the universe, as Gap, yeah, but Gap has more than an ability to kind of just hold on here and stall for as long as they need to, honestly.
Yeah, that's definitely true, as well as Ramsu just getting absolutely juggled. just, I mean, no chance there whatsoever. Gap manhandles and Team Vex repulsed. Seafall does have some forward positioning, which should make the walk for the rest of their compatriots a smidgen easier. Vex and Bubsuit by now obviously long on this Ana break. They'll have the rally at least, but this blade could be... Oh!
What a sleep and what a rally. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it? It might matter. Ramsu still alive. Unfortunately, that right click is going to go right through. Unfortunately, with a minute on the clock, he's getting very, very dangerous right now. And Doc Salt isn't exactly going to offer the most help in the world.
How do you sleep a blading Genji, no nano, and with hopping around purely to kill the Genji, not to kill the Genji? There's a generational bag fumble there from Team Vex, and now they best hope that this Molten Core is just equally as generational, else they're playing on a nano boost and Seafall just being him to actually crack this defense.
Yeah, well, Doc, unfortunately, is already dead right now as things are going back and forth right now. Unfortunately, it's going to be falling apart at the seams as Ramsu is not able to get out. Seafall pretty much has a guaranteed touch with the ult existing, but it's not looking pretty.
No, 13 seconds, Seafall should be able to touch. As you mentioned, you've got the ult, you can probably just super slam there as well, realistically. You have the nano boost as well, should the Ana be able to get scaled, but Amplify probably just hit the backline and kind of ignore point for a second.
Yeah, we'll go through. We'll try to pop out and try to find something with this. Try to hit the corner right now, but eventually will, and Solo Zen. Wrong place at the wrong time, unfortunately. In the investment of these ultimates, they're all thrown in, but with correct measure. Gap, Crab's thinking about it, but very smart to simply back off, reset, let that one go because Team Vex willing to invest everything they had to take that.
I mean, at the end of the day, oh, that nade is bloody brilliant as well. Ewan just gets airstriked. But no, at the end of the world, they get 4 minutes off the bank and their opponents have to spend 3-4 ults to actually cap. You'll take that every damn day of the week. Amplify off to a fantastic start already. I believe a better time bank than their opposition. They are in a fantastic spot for Blizzard World still. The only spanner in the works could be this Empower Punch from Seafall though.
Yep, 100% right now. This card slowly making a little bit of progress right now. And unfortunately, Vex forced into separation right now. Bugsuit not gonna have the most care in the world, but I guess I think I really say the same for their side of the table. Things is Gap's gonna go in, more than happy to invest immediately in this pushing around Doc, just essentially trying to bully Doc, pushing them back, but will eventually result in their death. Bugsuit taken out of the fight, and Seafall will eventually be forced to back out a little bit as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, Ramsey was still picking them off one. I can't speak English, but let's make that the 3 count right there. And eventually, just gotta pick them off. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about Ramsey just being phenomenal on that Genji.
Absolutely, it was a 3-4 for him and all said and done. Fantastic work there to get the cart finally moving. A minute left on that bank. Normally would be more of a worry, but you've got Nano Blade, Meteor Strike, Rally, and I assume you'll just be able to kind of do whatever you want here.
Yeah, honestly. Just don't want to have to full send everything if you don't have to right now, but Casino Rush, gonna be given right there. Everyone will be more than happy to back out a little bit. Gap, though, is sitting inside of not the place I want to be right now as Ramsu gets literally deleted into thin air right now. Vex and Bugsuit combining together, trying to find something right now, but unfortunately, Team Vex just threw everything in there. Winter getting annihilated as well. It's not the most ideal situation for either team, but now for Amplify, I mean, Seafall is the only person to really worry about at this point. He's going to get pushed back onto the point his body's trying to come back as Solozan going to try to finish things off right here. Already got rid of one. May miss the jump up, but unfortunately, as much as they're eating away that damage, it's not going to be enough, but a touch does still exist from Ramsu.
That it does, but it's going to really suck, right? As Solozan just slides into the backline, Vex taken down. I mean, their Tor will be able to be there, but Doc, what can you really do? Yeah,
not really a thing, but surviving longer than you might expect right now. But unfortunately, you don't have a close spawn. Seafall's going to get back, but unfortunately, I think that's likely going to be the last touches. Even if Solozan goes down, isn't going to quite matter. So Amplify feeling themselves now. Going to take us to a 5th map here. We will for sure go to push, and oh my goodness, Petrion, if we haven't said it before, this feels like a very different team than we saw in that first map.
I mean, we have Length Hunter. That does, however, mean that we are, of course, one map away from that reverse. Again, look at this TP. Like, come on, girl. That's just unfortunate. Like, I've been there before. I know it feels terrible, but also, on Curie, you have to sometimes just let your teammates die. Unfortunately, there, in trying to peel out your doom, you just sold yourself as well. And because of that and many, many other factors, Amplify now tied up 2-2. If I'm not much mistaken, I think we're going to go to another short break. When we return, the culmination of our NA Open semifinal.
Water is the softest and most yielding substance, yet nothing is better than water for overcoming the hard and rigid, because nothing can compete with it. Lao Tzu.
Name straight, new wave. Name straight, new wave.
straight new age. Name straight new wave.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a hot minute since I could sit here in CGL and say these words, but we are going to a map 5, and it's not the way I had expected it to go down. In the first half of this matchup, Spectron, Team Vex seemed to have a pretty good hold on things without phone existing for Amplify. It was becoming a bit of an open and shut case, but Amplify, they messed around for 2.5 maps, and they happened to find the code, and ever since they found that code, they've been managing to shut down Team Vex with more and more ease as that's continued on.
Yeah, I think they've been able to take 2 really favorable comp matchups in a row for them. This Malga first, and then like a straight up dive, right? And they were really struggling when they were playing kind of ground tanks into the Doomfist. When they realized they just didn't have to do that, then things are a hell of a lot easier for them, right? We're heading to push next. Every push map, as far as I'm aware, is in. If I am Team Vex, you still have map ban, of course, or map choice rather. This seems like the freest New Queen Street pick I've ever seen before in my life. There's no thought here. You just go New Queen Street because Doom is good there, and on the other maps, Amplify can kind of play whatever they want. On New Queen Street, they're forced to play like Queen or Winston or Diva, and I mean Winston maybe one thing. We saw them play it on Blizzard World to some success, obviously, but that's a very different map with a very different style. It has to be more of a brawl style here, and I think it's going to work out a lot better for Team Vex. Of course, still hero bans left to go. Okay, that's
Yeah,
not what I thought they would do.
That is, yeah, that's, I'm gonna get that in my little gift later, but either way, we could talk about what you just heard here in a moment. We could talk about that. We'll eventually have to talk about the bans, because I think those are also gonna be an important factor when we get to them in this situation right now, because let's take into note here, Team Vex used their Malga ban at the very beginning. That is not a viable option for them. They can't double down on it, can't do it again, and Amplify definitely isn't going to ban it themselves. So, I mean, with everything that's kind of been taken out of the pool, I question what Team Vex would want to get rid of in this situation, because it feels like you've already gotten rid of the high hitters early on.
I mean, that's how it often goes in a map 5 ban scenario. I feel like if teams play 2 comps, even if you ban your you do your bans correctly, you can be in a pretty comfortable spot. If you're Team Vex, what do you go towards here? I don't know. This map's a really weird choice. I would normally, and also the thing is, you share so much of your comp. Like both teams are basically just playing Kiri Lucio. A lot of times where I'd look for a Kiri or a Lucio to punish, you can't because you're playing the same thing. Neither team seems particularly inclined to go towards like a Juno Brig. A Soj ban, fair enough.
I like that.
I mean, Doc's playing a decent amount of Torb. Soda Zen's still playing the Soj as much as possible. It kind of makes sense considering how much value Soda Zen is finding.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great choice right there. I didn't think about that. Soda Zen was, just having some random pop-off moments on the Sojourn as well. But now, obviously, Amplify gets their chance to be able to respond. See what they want to ban. It's either got to be a tank or got to be a support. We've only had 1 ban in the support category throughout this entirety of the day, so, it would suggest that maybe we get to the support category for this ban in this situation right now.
I'm trying to manifest the Kiri ban. Please.
Yeah, that's what I was
Kiri.
thinking.
Please ban Kiriko.
theory would be probably the smartest decision based upon what they are likely going to want to run here on this last map. And,
Why? They haven't
doesn't
played any
seem right.
Juno. They've banned Juno. They're gonna play Doomfist. Wait, but you can just play Malga Juno Brig and then just run at them. And yeah, it sucks that Juno kind of is the bad 1v1 into the Doomfist. You can counter bash. You have enough survivability with the versatility to avoid him for long periods of time. I really don't like this ban by any stretch of the imagination. We have to kind of say here that Vex have won their bans. But hey, we gotta wait and see if this plan is going to survive first contact with the enemy. Roll swaps coming through for the side of Team Vex. Bugsuit moves over to that tank, and Seafall on the support. Excelsid as well coming into the DPS line. So Doc is going to be out. We are getting sort of creative here by those things.
It is definitely creative. That's the way I want to go about it in this situation. I'm curious now what you want to do with your Team Vex now, because, I mean, to be fair, they have to be trying something, because I understand that you go through those 2 maps and you realize that we need to try something. At this point, it is worth just trying something, throwing at the wall, and seeing what happens. I don't hate it. I've been there before. Teams have definitely been there before, and sometimes it's worked out. Clearly, it worked out for Amplify here, where they pushed some people around in different spots, and they eventually figured it out. Unfortunately, Team Vex don't have the luxury of having multiple maps to figure it out. They're going for the gamble, and either it's going to work, or it's going to fall apart quickly.
Feels like it maybe would have been nice to make these adaptations a smidge earlier, so you had a bit more runway for them, right? You can try it, and then if not, you can go towards it on the next. But we'll have to wait and see, right? As we load into Suravasa. It's not Suravasa, it's Renosapi. For some reason, I always get those names confused. Yeah, what can I say? It's been a long day. It's 3 a.m. for me. Can't use the slack.
I don't think I'm allowed to do that, unfortunately. This was your own decision, your own making. But
I was filling.
Whatever. You would tell me you wouldn't have been awake anyway. Tell me you would have been asleep. Right now.
I was actually planning on going to sleep. My sleep schedule has been getting towards the normal side of things recently. I woke up today at 9 a.m. I'm telling you.
Listen, buddy. I don't know how much I believe that. I'm pretty sure I could have tweeted about the map 5 like right now, and you definitely would have hit that with a like. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, I'm a lot of things. Okay, some good, some bad.
You sure are.
A liar is not one of them.
I don't know, man. We'll find out about that. But either way, what you are is seeing the Malga and potentially the Sigma, which would be interesting. It wouldn't be the worst pick, but
it's not bad here. So Team Vex have to play heavy for poke. Amplify, they have a god-given duty of forcing Grasp. When Grasp is out, Amplify are going to be W King like no tomorrow. When Grasp is up, they can commit, but it's likely just going to cost them a fight.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very, very interesting here, especially Winter over on this Reaper. Now, both teams kind of want to commit to the rundown here, honestly. It's quite interesting. Amplify especially, so I feel like, as kind of just hanging around his bug suit over on the side. Just trying to pot shot away, trying to find some charges things go along right now. Nice little snap down. Is Gap going to get rocked out of it right there? Getting separated from the team right now. Is Archie going to go in, try to find something? Unfortunately, everyone's kind of being very elusive right now. So for the time being, things not really working out to standard yet. But perhaps this will start working out when, unfortunately,
let's get some shots.
Yeah. Once the shots start hitting it, it becomes a bit of a different story.
I think the really surprising thing here is that Amplify were able to somehow find a positive cooldown trade out of the opening engagement, right? A Gap goes in before we force any of those cooldowns. It was just like daft. You trade it, but like, come on, guys. But no, listen, Gap goes in before we force any of the cooldowns we were talking about. Didn't force Wool, didn't force Lamp, didn't force Grasp, and somehow manages to force all of those and escape with their life. That shouldn't happen. So it comes second cycle. You've got your Cardiac, you've got your run back. And then you just go in, they don't have any of those cooldowns, they evaporate. Lovely first fight there from Amplify. Team Vex should be punishing that every single time.
Yeah, and now with the way that poke fight was engaged earlier on, ults are ready for this fight. Very much so on both sides of the equation. While support ults coming up online, beats a little bit behind with Seafold. Quite closer in this situation right now. A Unfortunately, you lose that earlier on, and at this point, you just have to kind of give your life on the point here and, you know, get out with a bit of charge. But either way, that's going to be a 1-for-1 trade right there. Happy about it at the end of the day. And now, you got a freeze on your side to potentially maybe no beat to match it.
Yeah, absolutely true here. Amplify as well, I feel like, are probably the better generally of these ultimates, though it is pretty marginal. If you are Amplify, then you can just straight up stop the Flux from finding value by beating it. And the same could be said... Oh, hold that thought, as Ramsu just low pressure.
Oh, yeah, Ramsu is experiencing a little bit of the dead right now, unfortunately. Sent back to the spawn room, which means that's the team back to be forced to kind of back out. Take a little bit of a regrouping session right now here as Preventative Flux is going to be used here, but Cleanse is going to be more than used in the situation. It's hoping to find something. Oh, God. That is evil right there.
Good Lord.
That is not the situation I would wish upon my most mortal of enemy as Amplify get the checkpoint, and we'll probably get a little extra something on top of that.
That's diabolical. The speed boosted Jedi through the shield. I mean, what do you even do against that? It's crazy work there. Solo Zen, Magic's a triple out of nowhere, forward spawns up for Amplify, and they got this Death Force, and they're probably looking to use here.
Yeah, it's gonna go in right now. Unfortunately, it's maybe not the most ideal spot possible. Gap gonna get frozen up. At the end of the day, it's likely gonna be some death onto the point. Stalling off for a bit, but Winner's doing Winner things. Unfortunately, needs to hit a shot. Fortunately, he does not manage to do so at the very end, but still wasn't much of a winnable fight. Anyway, as Ramsey gonna swap over to that Pharah.
With the greatest respect to Winter, who found 2 fantastic picks in this fight, for a hit scan player, it looks like she's playing on trackball. I don't know how many of these Reaper shots go awry, but it's clearly working out for them in the long haul. Amplify gets a refight here on about that center area of that map. They'll be able to play for Kitsu, which will probably give them a lead here. The window, you just respect it, wait it out, and go later, no?
Yeah, I mean, essentially right now, Ramsu more than happy to kind of hang around here with this Pharah, try to find something right now, but is forced to kind of back out a little bit. You get caught up by Gap, it's going to be really hard to bounce back from it, but yeah, when you get rid of Crazy Cat, you pretty much end the fight right then and there. Gap doesn't have necessary care. Ramsu's going to be able to build up towards that perk very much so. So, likely going to be able to, I imagine, upgrade the Barrage.
I think if we just stay off the Winter Pov, then she's going to kill 2 people every fight, whether like it wins that for her or not. She's done fantastically to get that exit frag. Forward spawns now being threatened. Amplify have the better ults for the most part. The only threat is going to be the Bob, but you have enough focus fires to take that down should you want to turn for it.
Yeah, Bob going to be thrown in, not the most ideal spot in the world, but it is still going to deliver pressure as Winter. Buddy, that is not the ideal situation. Seafull, that's not the ideal situation either, as they're simply going to back out, take the regroup on the other side of things, as that's a very interesting fight, Spec.
That's a one word for it. Still just raining rockets down from above is Ramsu. That will help with your Malga trade. Another Deadeye, though, is going to zone all the space in the world. Can you get more? Of course you can.
And we're doubling down the situation. Unfortunately, not the most ideal situation, though. Gap's going to need a little bit of care. Unfortunately, that little bit of care doesn't really exist, but Winter is very much staying alive, trying to make something happen right now. Manages to find one, and eventually looks like it's going to be able to find the necessary receipts. Particularly moving on, and Solo Zen, I mean, that tracking is, nasty.
Okay, not to nerd emoji you, but this is just, like, objectively flick game. I gotta be that guy.
You're nerding out. You're nerding out.
I'm sorry, I'm telling it like it is, eh? Okay, Team Vex have Kitsu, Amplify have nothing. I mean, they could probably also finish off the Barrage if they feel so inclined. If I'm Team Vex, if I want to be really greedy with ults, I farm up my Barrage and go with that, but they probably just want to walk with Kitsu. It's so simple, so easy.
Yeah, would make complete sense in this situation right here. Got the one all, and unfortunately, Spectron, fun little fact about Overwatch, you need to be alive to use an ultimate. Unfortunately, a little fun fact, actually. Unfortunately, Vex, pretty much not alive in that situation, so unfortunately you have to back out. Keep up even more as the Bob is going to be invested instead, and that Bob gets newly deleted on the spot already, so now, that's not going to win the fight, but it is going to buy a little bit of space as the Russians are going to be thrown back on both sides. Winter getting instantaneously deleted, meaning that Gab is probably going to have to bounce out of there a little bit, as at the end of the day, it does go their favor, but I don't know how to quite feel about that fight spec.
I mean, it's not fantastic, especially as you're spending relatively large ults that won't actually advance the progress of the wall at all, right? Amplify will be able to recontest before you actually reach your checkpoint, if I'm not much mistaken. They get the forward spawns, they walk up with a loose speed, they'll be there in time.
Yep. Very fair situation in the situation where, hey, still on that map 5, under 3 minutes right now, things getting very intense. But for Team Vex, you start doing better than a simple 50-50 right now, as Deadeye has come through right now. Vex gonna get caught out. And unfortunately, once again, Solo Zen just doing Solo Zen things, honestly. That's just kind of how it's been throughout the entirety of this day, as Team Vex shut down once more. Amplify gonna get that moving again.
Dude, who even is that phone loser? Just bench and Palmer. Let Solo Zen play the hit scan and keep Winter on the Reaper, because Winter plays Reaper like she listens to MCR, and Solo Zen plays Cassidy like it's taken like 30 grams of caffeine and just aims like fantastically. Fair enough.
Oh, and Ramsu did not get much out of that equation right there. All's being traded all over the place right now. Gonna go in. Winter just getting bashed out, but she's still gonna pick up 1 and make it 2. Solo Zen gonna help out. Nice little back and forth right there. Now, I mean, 1:30 on the clock. Ults got traded. You got a rush coming up. Things are looking very dour for Team Vex.
Did Seafall's beat go off, or did I just miss it?
It went off.
It went off. Good, good, good. Just making sure. Just stay on the Ajax watch, as of course we have to. They get the distance they can, but considering they're down members somewhat, they can't actually hold that forward space. So they have to play a little bit far back, wait for their members to come before they can stabilize. They finish off the Kitsu though, and especially if their ult track is good, they will realize that now is their time to go.
Yep, 100% going to go in and immediately going to get out of there in that situation. The right call. Give that space, take the regroup. Vex not too far off from their own Kitsune rush right here. Gonna have it for the engagement of this fight, but you still have to be very careful in this situation. Got the bomb still sitting by, but I don't think I would want to try to use that bomb immediately in this situation. As yes, happily go through with the Kitsune rush, as Amplify more than happy to just literally say, nah, we don't want to deal with this. We're gonna get out of here.
I'd love to see a Kitsune rush that isn't so easily kai'd. Both these teams just exchange them. We speed the Deadeye again, and it's probably good for 1 again as well, because why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, Solo Zen will go down for the consequence of doing such a thing, but unfortunately, it doesn't really stop the fact that Amplify are going to push this thing forward. There will definitely be a touch and a recontestment fully, but to what extent is the question?
This is dead!
Ooh. A Widow swap? I think they think they're Fleta. Unfortunately, that is most certainly not the case, and now Crazy Cat got that Kitsune rush ready to go. A touch isn't going to happen. Yeah, and the reverse sweep comes to fruition. They cracked the code. They figure it out. Team Vex went for the gamble, but unfortunately, doesn't pay off. So Amplify move on to those finals, go up against Agave Foxtails later in this weekend to decide our mid-season champions.
I mean, the stage has been set for this final match. We'll say that much for free. Winter here, I mean, some of the Reaper gameplay of all time, able to just decimate anytime she was given the opportunity to. My favorite play from her, though, is when she just walks up, just like 2 taps Vex, and just walks back when Vex has the only ult of the side. Just ridiculous. A reverse sweep, just to close things out. Apparently, they were just on the wrong rolls the entire time. They had to take a map to warm up onto the right ones, and then they're just pickle chilling. Because those final 3 maps didn't even feel that close, realistically, especially compared to like map 1 and 2, where they were kind of being outmatched. If you're Amplified, then first you got to shout out Solo Zen, because that guy is just like a force of nature. Off-rolling and fragging like that, we've got to shout him out.
I mean, 100%. Just getting thrown onto a different role like that, not the easiest experience in the world. Obviously, you kind of probably knew ahead of time that you weren't going to have phone in the situation, so you are probably theory crafting a couple of things going into that matchup. But either way, big for them. Get to move on, potentially fight for that extra win, which obviously would do a lot for them within their group, because honestly, you go into that group with, you know, that 4 or 5 wins to start that second stage. I mean, looking at a great opportunity to stay at the top of your group and get yourself a good opportunity. But either way, Spectron night isn't over quite yet. Not because there's another match going on, that's definitely part of it, but because we're going to get an interview set up here momentarily. So, gonna go to another short break, and when we're back, we'll be here with that interview. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back one more time here at the other side of what ended up being a lovely reverse sweep. Amplify able to take down Team Vex, securing the other spot within the finals here in the NA Open Division. We'll have that matchup between them and Agape Foxtails going on later this weekend. But of course, before we get to that point, Spectrum, we got ourselves a lovely interview, not just one, but we're going to double down on that. It's going to be Solo Zen and Ewan joining us from Amplify. And first and foremost, I mean, congratulations on a big comeback win today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and obviously going today, not the most ideal situations, Phone obviously not being there to kind of help things out. So, I mean, was there generally a plan going into today, knowing that you weren't going to have Phone, or was it kind of just a make it up as we go along kind of situation?
We had no freaking clue. We didn't know who's on. I mean, as you saw, I was on DPS map 1. We had Sozen on for the vest. We didn't really know what we were doing until, you know, everything happened.
It did take us a map or two, and I think we eventually honed in on it.
Yeah, and you honed them pretty well, I gotta say. I feel like the team's performance in general in those later maps was fantastic. Winter, finding a bunch of picks on the Reaper. And Solozen, your Deadeyes were just like brutal. Is this just a set play you guys normally went for with Winter on hit scan that you just converted, or was it just you felt like doing it and it just kept working?
I gotta thank Ewan for that. He would be like, we're in a 3-2-1 Deadeye, and we would just amp speed around the corner, and we'd get like 3 or 4 skulls lined up. It was great. All thanks to Ewan.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And then my other question is going to be, you guys are obviously playing like a lot of Malgate and OWCS. It feels like the kind of comp that you guys were really strong at. Was that like, once you started figuring out what roles you were going to play, something that you really wanted to look towards, or did it just end up being, we picked it because we're good at it and it's working, so we want to stay on it?
We've been treading away a little from the Maga, but in a series like this, especially where we have some off rules and stuff is getting a little silly, easier to go back to basics. Just play what we're good at. Although, like, we do want to play a lot more. Like, we've been practicing a lot more other comps, but today it was just an off-field day, so.
Yeah. Gonna see if that's gonna be the case. Obviously, you got that matchup coming up against Agave Foxtails here in a day or two as well, where I imagine perhaps the LAN with a phone might or might not be going on. I think y'all will obviously try to figure that out as things go along. But any thoughts going into that grand finals matchup against Agave Foxtails, or just any thoughts in general about it?
I don't think we need any thoughts. I think they'll be fun.
Well, you know what? I'll take that at face value right there. There we go. But before we send y'all on your way to go and celebrate and relax, if there's anything y'all want to personally say, if there's anybody that you two want to shout out, you're more than free to do so.
I would like to shout out Sozen. He had an awful. He put in the work. He went off on Surgeon and Cass, and it worked out great.
I want to shout out Ewan. I'm not gonna lie. After we got 2-0'd at the start. You could say our mentals were like a little rocky, but Ewan's like Iron Mental like just brought us back, and that was very important, and allowed us to reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely love to see it right there. But once more, congratulations on the reverse sweep win, and best of luck with your finals matchup this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thank you a lot.
All right, take care now. All right, Spec. There you have it, and there you are. Very straightforward. Again, when we have these interviews, sometimes it's not always quite straightforward, but that was very to the point, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like that. Hey.
I feel like my EU interviews normally go longer because people like.
Yeah.
I feel like generally they have more to say, you know.
Yeah.
Because and everyone feels like media trained, you know, for the most part. Like this was a very reasonable interview to come through. They came through. They said what's true in EU. I still remember we had this one French guy. He would do nothing. Like first, shout him out. I can't remember his name, but he was lovely. But it was just like an essay for every question, and I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. It was real for that though. This one, as you mentioned, straight to the point, like Amplify were in those final 3 maps, as they mentioned, just locking in there to close things out and spare a thought for their opposition, who thought they could have had it all before choking it at the final hurdle.
Yeah, 100%. And hey. Ends up being a fabulous matchup as well, and decides that the NA Open Finals. But there's a lot of other things that still have to be decided, Spectre. And in fact, we're deciding one of them right now over on CGL 2. Got ourselves a semifinals matchup going on between Cuddle Puddle and Death Blossom, currently sitting at a 1-in-1 situation right now, back forth fair, very clearly as things are right now, as they're currently over on King's Row. They're actually into extra rounds as I'm looking at it right now, which is a little bit of extra entertainment right now. So you could obviously head on over there, or you could simply wait here and have us if I just raid CGL2 anyway. You can make whatever choice you desire, but either way, Spec, I mean, that one heck of a day we've had here.
Yeah, I think it's fair to call it that. The EU game I had earlier took years of my life, and this one as well made me sweat a little bit. But when all is said and done, it's been a fantastic day of CGL action. Of course, make sure you watch the game that we have ongoing on TGL2, as well as making sure that you tune in tomorrow for the final day of the mid-season tournament, because folks, you won't want to miss these grand finals.